Hello everybody, how y'all doing? Caleb here. Just gonna do a little knife sharpening, my style. It's not it's not what some experts call sharpening, but I have an old vintage Remington 1990 1187 Auto 870 pump slip joint, and I'm going to put a usable everyday use edge on it. As you can tell, there's some damage. It just came out of a case somewhere, so I'm going to carve a new edge bevel in, and I'm going to use this green silicone carbide by Bora stone to do the rough work. Then we'll just see what happens. Anyway, it's not about shaving, so we'll see if y'all like it or not. But anyway, large slip joint. I don't do a lot of, unless it's a really large, 6-inch or longer blade, I don't usually set stuff down. I like to hand hold. First thing I'm going to do is find the existing bevel. Not too bad. So, found it. Do a few light back and forths to get an idea of what I need to do. As you can see, the shinier parts where I just started. There's some obviously belt sander probably sharpened at the factory back. Just like on sharpening razors, everything starts at a properly apexed or bevel set. Now this is easier than if you're creating a bevel from scratch. You would want to choose an angle and then lock your wrist and not change it until you have cut enough of a bevel that you could refine it by feel. So use a really coarse stone and enough pressure to get the job done. Got a small burr in sections. I'm going to balance the edge. I'm going to change and flip sides. I'm using so-so pressure. Not a lot, not a little. I'm raising my elbow as I go to the tip. I know it's not showing it, but let me rinse this edge off so you can actually see roughly where we're at. We're apexing it. Got some swarf on there. It's feeling pretty good. Now on this side, you can see up here towards the tip, there's a completely different bevel up there, and that's from where they sharpened it at the factory on a powered grinder, which I don't necessarily like, except for creating primary bevels in a hurry. So I'm going to bring the opposite side to meet that. And then I'm going to go down here. I always start from the same spot. For me, it's the heel or down by the tang. And then I lighten up and then use the same form to get out to the tip. You can see there's a little bit of it left. And you can't stop honing or move up to a finer stone until you get your bevel set. You want to try to keep the wear somewhat even, though on most knives it doesn't matter as much as some people think, but it matters more than nothing at all, of course. For looks it matters, and for cutting sometimes it'll steer the knife, but unless you're dealing with something like a Scandi or a Japanese knife, or something with thick wide bevels, or wide anyway if not thick, it's up to you how much it matters. What's most important is that you get an edge on your knife that you're happy with and that does the daily duty. I do usable sharpening. I don't sharpen for it, to show off my edges. I actually, nothing against that, and nothing more than a beautiful edge is a nice thing to see, but just a little bit of it left up here, right where my thumb, right there. So we're going to keep going. I'm leaving the swarf on this stone, and I'm not using as much pressure as I think some people will think I am. I'm allowing that swarf to kind of keep the stone freeable and cutting well. And I'm going to rinse it. I don't really feel, I guess, that I have as much to offer in the terms of knife sharpening. I'm fairly utilitarian. I have a lot of collector knives, but I don't really show them off because what's the point for me? Yay, I guess. And by collector knives, I mean, vintages and some reproductions, but I enjoy cutlery. Just knives and anything that cuts or pokes, penetrates. I enjoy that a lot. Now what I'm looking for is an irregular burr under the light, which is hard to see through this camera. But I'm going to join the edge so that if there is a burr, it'll cut it off. And I can raise a clean, fresh, smaller burr. And move forward onto finer grits and fine, which is what they're for. Now I've lightened up considerably in the pressure. I don't know if anybody can tell that. But I have. See what the burr and the apex feels like. Get it off camera here where I can actually see it. And look at my apex. Now at this low of a grit, I mean this is a 100 grit, I think, maybe 80. You're going to have winks of light shining back at you. What's important is the regularity of those winks of light. Does it match a scratch pattern coming off of this stone, Like, you get to where you can recognize what the last proper stone was that you apexed, if that makes any sense. Sorry. Now I'm using very light pressure. I'm finding my angle, locking my wrist, holding the stone firm, and I'm just kissing the top. I'm trying to get as much out of this stone as I can, okay? The more I get out of this stone, this grit and this stone, the less laps I'll have to do on the following stones, right? I've got got some swarf there. I've got a fairly uniform edge bevel on both sides. Nothing I'd be ashamed to take to work, use, So I'm going to flip it over and go to this 280, 300 side, whatever it is. Some pressure. As you can see, the stone has got some swarf here. Always starting from the heel. And working up. Starting to get some pre-polished work going. Always get down here in the heel whenever you start off. Do a little work here like this. And then blend it as you work out. Do some lighter work. Balancing out and reducing the size of the burr. Honing and sharpening on camera is a little tedious because you can almost never get your best work trying to work around a camera, but maybe others can, and hey, go for it. I prefer just to put on some slow tunes and meditate. Get the camera to focus here. Pretty much uniform. Let me shine the light on it up here again. Get a feel for... Okay, good enough. By the way, this is the Puma 320 1000 aluminum oxide. I like it. I don't need it, but I like it. This is the Gritomatic 1200, or basically a 600 grit Japanese, or close enough. I have lapped this 600. Get it a little cleaned up, a little less slurry. This is not the hard wearing Gritomatic. This is the normal. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I've got some pressure, but not enough to, you know, knock the stone out of my hand. I'm going to give it a finger test. Long. I mean, you can probably do more precise honing with a pocket microscope, but we're not going to be shaving with this. I mean, what's the point of that? Real light strokes. I'm just trying to get the most out of this grit. And that's it. Here's the 1200, I believe. Nah, 2500. But I think they said on the Gritomatic site it's the F1000, so it'd be like almost 2500 or 3000 JIS. I'm going to find out, anchor, and do some half strokes, Japanese half strokes, to speed the polishing along. I mean, let's be honest, I don't have time to stand here all day just for a working edge. I doubt any of you do either to watch me, so. While there's a bit of slurry on here, I'll do some matching strokes. Basically, finger on the blade, roll it forward, find the apex, and out. Thumb on the blade, roll it forward, find my bevel flat. No matter how small it is, I can usually find it. Fairly light. This silicone carbide cuts this 440C ridiculously fast. It's probably overkill, but I like the speed. Why spend all day? Trying to get a good edge if you don't have to. Don't get in a hurry. These are your finishing strokes. I think the highest I'd ever take this particular 440C would be probably 5,000 grit. I mean, I might hit it on some chromium oxide to polish the 5K stria. But yes, that would be the 5K stria doing most of the cutting. And just the polish over that stria. Not trying to remove it to give it some, maybe bite is the better word, depending on what you're cutting. It feels pretty darn good. I mean, for something, 30 years old. Get some toilet paper sticking to my blade. Shaves all right. A little, obviously not satisfactory. Let me grab a I left my other strop in the back, so we'll use this one today. This is a Lewinsky. Maluski, I'll get it right, out of Poland. I love these strops. They're really for razors, but I bought an extra one, and then I immediately left it under the kitchen cabinet so I can use it in the kitchen to strop kitchen knives off on. I love them. They have a little give, but I don't use abrasives. This is just leather on steel. A little slow, fairly traditional way of doing it. It'll wrap the apex nicely. Give it a little cleaning. Help work on any remnants of a burr. Yeah, it's all right. Now, if I wanted to bring this edge up, I could strap it on chromium oxide. I could strap it on diamond, I guess. But if you're going to go to work tomorrow and chop up some boxes, that's a butcher's edge. If it'll cut flesh like that, that's all I want. Anyway, I don't know if this has been helpful, or I'm sure I'll get some hate in the comments above. For instance, this Vernco out of Japan, I keep a 280 grit edge on it because if you do very many perch in my case, you're going to hit bones and scales. So what's the point of putting a super soft 440 steel edge like it says 440 also, is what I've been told by a fellow friend who collects Vernco from Japan. Don't know why, but he does. You could say this is a bank knife and you would be right. So anyway, I hope the day has found you all well. Doing great and all that jazz. If you get a chance, go check out Jeff Jewell on YouTube. I'll leave a link to his channel. He offers quite a lot. He brings a lot to the table. He'll have a lot more information. Oh, by the way, after I lapped these stones, I used this 150 grit silicone carbide. It's a Nanawa Ibi, but it's really soft. And so I smoothed out these two stones with the slurry between the two of them. Works marvelously. These are like $8. Get one. Anyway, go and see Jeff Jewell. Go see Mike Baker. Goodness, there's so many really nice guys out there. Lots of information. They bring a lot to the table. Yeah, Jeff, if you want to know especially about more exotic knives, I have a few, but I don't really use them that rough. If you want to see some exotic knives getting sharpened, anyway, go see him and go see Mike Baker and Jeff Jewell. See you guys. Bye.